Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, whatever time it is. I'm Josh, and I'm going to explain to you how to use the NOSSAFLEX system to organize your film scans. So we created this NOSSAFLEX system as a way to kind of standardize the way that film scans are named, because there is no convention. I've got my scans done at many places, and everyone's kind of got their own little quirky way of naming for film scans, and it's usually just like the roll number that they've processed with like a -01, 02, whatever, and that's great for them, but to me that doesn't help at all. So before I continue on, what is NOSSAFLEX? NOSSAFLEX is an acronym, and it stands for number, SS is shutter speed, A equals aperture, FL equals focal length, and EX equals exposure. And this is what we use as a base structure for our file name, and then we fill in the blanks in between. This system keeps our files organized, relevant, and unique. Admittedly, it is cumbersome, and sometimes I myself can't even be bothered, but you need to commit to this system. The system involves you noting down the settings of your camera. The number, the shot number that is on the roll, the shutter speed, the aperture, the focal length, and the exposure. I mean, it's not automatic. I wish it was. It's not digital photography, but why do we shoot film, right? So you do have to make a conscious effort to write down your settings. Sometimes I'm doing a roll, and I'm like, man, I just don't want to write down my settings. But every time I think of that, I think about what it's like when I don't write down my settings, and the scans that I get back, and I'm like, you know what? It takes me 10 seconds. I'm just going to jot it down, and that's it. Because I know that later on, future Josh will love me. But in saying that, this is an organizational system, and organization takes effort no matter what it is. You got hard drives, you put things in folders, that's organizing. All this is organization, and organization takes time to be upheld, and this is putting in the time to organize. So let's break down a file name and look at how we read it. Here's an example shot with some settings. It's super simple to translate this data. Let's start with our base structure of NOSSAFLEX and fill it in as we go. This was the 5th shot on the roll with a shutter speed of 1/250th, an aperture of f5.6, a focal length of 50mm, and we overexposed by 1 stop. So we don't need to include values like the 1 on blank for the shutter speed or the F before the aperture. We're breaking these down into their basic numbers with the naming system replacing those indicators. Here are a few more examples of other file names. See if you can read and understand what the settings are. I'll give you a moment there. You may notice the S after the 3 in this shutter speed value. This shot was long exposure and had a shutter of 3 seconds. The naming system is flexible, so if there are other values you would rather have, add them instead. These are just the ones that we found most useful to us. One problem with this system is that there's no unique identifiers in the file name. So for example, if you were in a studio environment and you shot 2 rolls of Portrait 400, and you left the settings exactly the same because you were in a studio environment and you've controlled the lighting. Now you've got 2 rolls, completely different photos, but the file names on each one are now identical. So you've technically got 2 rolls that look exactly the same. So one way we found to combat avoiding duplicate names across roles, I'm not saying that's the exact example that will happen, but there is a slim chance that you may get the exact same file name across other roles. So one way to combat that was to just add the roll number at the beginning of the file name. So the roll number is defined by the roll that is being shot and what number it is that it is to you. So this is the 5th roll that I've shot, and this is the 6th roll that I'm going to shoot. All I have to do is put RN005 underscore and then NOSSAFLEX. And now that file name is unique 100% because there will never be another roll number 5. Now I just count up for rolls as you go. If you wanted to do BWRN, black and white roll number 1, or CRN, color roll number 1, up to you. I just do it across the board, roll numbers, because that's just easy. But that is one way to make every file name unique, which is super important, because if file names aren't unique, then if you just start collecting files, then they're not going to be unique, and you might get, and you're going to go, oh, where is this from? Like, how do I find back to where the other shots were from this roll? So it's useful to have the roll number in the file name too. You can also experiment, like I said, with color or black and white, or even your initials. JC01 is now Josh 𝗙𝗿 01. That's my name, and that's the roll number that I've shot. So you can really make it especially unique to you, so that if you ever do give your files across to someone else, they know that it is yours. That's pretty much the system in a nutshell. That's how you use it. That's why it's used. I hope you find value in that, because I definitely do. And like I said, it does take time. Organization takes effort, and for me, it is worth it, because I get to go through, I get to look at my files, and everything is organized, it's neat. I can see exactly what camera I shot, what film I shot, what the roll number is, and all the photos within that with all their settings at a glance. EXIF data is really good for information that you can't translate into the file name, like location or description or shutter speed, like the full words. Like, there's no point putting that in the file name. And that's what EXIF data is good for. But if we can get the core stuff out of that and put it into the file name, that's NOSSAFLEX. So if you've got any questions about the system and how it works, or if any of this was confusing at all, please leave a comment below or send us an email. I'll be sure to respond and be as helpful as I possibly can. Thank you for watching, and like I said, be sure to leave any questions below.